Hello fellow humans and welcome to a very special tank, and that is the Keni Otsu. Now you might wonder, why have I never heard of this tank? Well, you probably haven't been playing Blitz for a long time, and as you can see in tier 3, it is the only remaining premium tank. Let's dive a little bit into the story of this vehicle and what actually happened to it, and you know, what it is now, because now it has lost most of its power. However, it is still quite a menace to deal with. So let's have a look. So now we have to go all the way back to November 16th of 2015 with the Keni Otsu, which was supposed to be sold from said date until November 26th. However, it then immediately got pulled about 12 hours later from the shop. As you can see here, yep, gone to OP. And then a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to actually buy this vehicle. Now, what actually did happen to a tank that was only sold once and then never happened again? As you can see right here, this is the offer. For $5 you could buy it with the Keni Otsu, 1 garage slot, 200 gold, and 1 day of premium time. So that's not too bad. So basically, it is gone. It was supposed to be sold for over a week. However, it was gone within a day. Now, why was that? Let's have a look at the statistics of this vehicle to find out just why. Now, you might not see here because there's a lot of green. However, a lot of things happened since this vehicle got released. The main feature this thing has is 2000 DPM on a tier 3. That's what this vehicle is. It has a 4-shot auto-loading magazine with 40 alpha damage, with a, well, magazine reload of 3 seconds, which that's the mistake right there. That's dumb. Now, what happened to this vehicle essentially? In update 5.5, obviously a lot of the low tier vehicles got changed, some got removed, and over the years, pretty much all of these vehicles got converted from either tech tree tanks or premium tanks to collector vehicles that are just sitting there in a lower tier. However, the Keni Otsu remained unchanged until this day, which means it has been power crept massively since that time, because a lot of the tier 3s and above have been adjusted since then. So what remains of this vehicle is obviously still its ridiculous 2000 DPM and quite weak 48mm of penetration if you compare it to what others here have to offer. We go up to about 84 on the LTP even, and a 68 only with the premium penetration of the Keni Otsu, so that is still very weak. And the aim time and the dispersion, they're not great either, obviously. However, the movement dispersion is pretty decent. Now, 11 degrees of gun dispersion is quite insane, however, nothing special for tier 3, because there are the Keni Otsu as well with 14, and the Keni Otsu obviously has higher penetration, higher alpha damage at the cost of 800 DPM. So while the regular Keni is already a circling monster, and probably does now do a bit better because of, there are a couple of problems with the vehicle. What is also a problem is that you might have not liked and subscribed yet. Ha, gotcha. Anyway, now another problem with this vehicle that it retains is its very weak hit point reservoir of only 390. And obviously the rest of them have 480, 500, some even more than that. That results also in the Keni Otsu performing worse than the regular Keni. Obviously still massively above the average of vehicles like this. Obviously not many people are playing them. As you can see right here, 7 players for the LTP. However, the regular Keni is actually doing better, despite this vehicle having 2000 DPM. Now, originally, this tank was pulled after about 12 hours on sale. And why was that? Well, to figure that out, let's get into a battle. And now, after about 3 decades in the queue, let's go. Now, obviously, Wargaming has absolutely murdered low-tier vehicles for essentially the goal of pushing people to the higher tiers faster, therefore, well, making them worse players, but also being able to sell more premium vehicles, because the higher you go and the faster you go, the more stuff you need. So, yeah. Now, the problem with this vehicle is obviously 413 hit points in a game where a tier 4 vehicle is going to have 600. That is very problematic. Now, 2000 DPM might sound absolutely insane, and it is absolutely insane. The problem with that is you only have an alpha damage of 40 and very weak penetration, which means that you essentially have to constantly fire this vehicle to actually obtain that damage output. And that's obviously not great when you have no hit points and no armor. So the best way for this vehicle to work is essentially for the enemy to never look at you, but obviously they will, because tier 3 enemies shoot at sight. If you're looking at them, they're looking at you. So just marginally better than a vegetable, but anyway, still better than the tier 10 players mostly. So let's have a go at this Panzer IV-D here. 100 damage. That isn't. And 163, and now I'm gonna have to pull back again, and instantly clip is straight back. So there is no reload delay. However, as you can see, that tank has very high alpha damage. With one shot, I am pretty much already down. Now we're gonna have to go back and hide, essentially. Is he still aiming at me? Yes, he is, but that doesn't matter now. Obviously, this vehicle, it used to be broken when it came out, and it was essentially a mistake with the reload of the vehicle to give it this 2000 DPM. Now, obviously over the years that went away with all the other tanks being rebalanced and this one being kept that as it is. And then sort of lost that OP-ness essentially. However, it's still funny. It shows you a bit about how wargaming operates and how well testing is going sometimes. Then again, mistakes can happen. However, if you make millions a month, you're too rich to be allowed any errors. So, you know, you can just hire a guy to triple check it. You hire another guy to quad check it. It's that easy. So, there we go. But that's how it goes when the profit is more interesting than, well, anything else, because that's how the modern business world operates. It's all about profit. Nothing else matters. Let's have a look at this Matilda here. Can we pin him? Obviously, this vehicle has HE rounds loaded. The HE is completely and utterly useless. Also, this is not my account, and I didn't ask for it either. It was given to me, so yeah. Anyway, let's have another one. There we go. And that is only 600 damage, which isn't that great. And it just kind of shows the problem that this vehicle has. It is an absolutely legendary vehicle that will live on in the history of Blitz for probably forever. However, in terms of how good it is, it really isn't anymore. And that's kind of sad. Why am I getting offers on... What remains of the Keni Otsu? Well, not much, and it isn't really talked about anymore, just like how when they gave away the M60 for free, that also happened. So, you know, those things happen. And they gave the M60 away for free to random people, essentially. And this tank... it's kind of one of those other hiccups of, I didn't think about it, I just did it, basically. And this vehicle would have needed testing, or at least someone looking at the stats to see that it's wrong. Or maybe it was intentional, who knows. So, what remains is basically a very, very nerfed down little tier 3 vehicle. Obviously, in this state, it could very much be sold because it's simply not as OP anymore. Obviously, I never played it when tier 3 was in its previous state and when it absolutely dominated. However, from what I can see now, it's simply not in an amazing position anymore. And it's very obvious that it has not gone with the time and it has not treated it very nicely. Especially given the weak penetration and need to constantly peek to actually get the damage on target. Obviously, if the enemy isn't paying attention to you or simply isn't firing back, then it's still going to be absolutely dominant. However, as soon as you have front armor that is looking at you, or that is above 60 millimeters, there is absolutely no chance that you're going to pin anything, and that is not great. Now, let's have a look. Maybe we can get rid of the M3 here very nicely. That is... nope, not quite. However, the gun is instantly reloaded again, and we can go at it again. Now, B2, I can't pin him from the front in most places, except for the part on the turret there. Can forget about the hull completely. So, now, what I would try to do is go all the way around here and maybe attack the Stewart, because that will be something that is maybe possible. And that we can pin parts of the tank, but not much. Now, this is where the Keni Otsu comes into its own, where essentially you're unopposed and no one's fighting you. This is where this vehicle absolutely starts destroying. Now, once you actually get fought by anyone, that's where your reign of terror ends. And that is the space of this vehicle. Now, Basically, if no one's fighting you, you can pen them. It is absolutely unbeatable because of its DPM. However, if someone starts fighting you, if you're playing against a vehicle that has any form of armor, you're gonna have a very tough time. And I don't know why I'm saying this, because it's very rarely played. It is essentially hidden. So if you meet one in tier 3, you know, all you need to know is focus it as much as you can, because while it has 2000 DPM, it has pretty weak penetration and non-existent armor. That's 1000 damage. That is not all too bad. There we go. And that's how you can rack up damage with a thing like this. It's just constant fire. And now, ideally, the 820 is going to help me out here. And, no B2. Not like that. We're going to go around him. I can't pin his side, I already know that. Can I pin his rear? I can pin his rear. So we're going to have to fire AP rounds into his rear. I'm going to run out of them soon, because somehow this thing has 34 HE rounds, but that's how it goes, I guess. There we go, 84 left, 1.3k damage on the little Keni Otsu here. Essentially, playing this tank every game that's like 500 damage is an ace, because no one plays it. So, that's quite funny. That is quite a funny little tank, and it is in a very weird spot. It is gonna do absolutely insanely crazy stuff if you let it run free. However, due to the changes in the lower tiers and the weak armor, the weak penetration, you know, the essential need to constantly peak, it kind of got put into hell a bit. And to be honest, if you play the regular Keni, you don't really miss out on much. You might even do somewhat better. Now, the legend of the Keni Otsu. A legend only. With that said, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.